Hello and welcome to an all-new DC cast, Explosion Network's hub for all things DC Comics related, a place to talk about everything happening in Metropolis, Gotham, and beyond. My name is Ashley Hobley, and joining me today is Dylan Blatt.
I am Non's brother, and I speak.
Okay.
Non's the brute who doesn't speak.
Sure. All right. Today we are continuing our Superman rewatch, and we are diving into Superman 2. But Dylan, question without notice. Top 3 DC villains.
Oh, fuck! I should have, I should start preparing. I should just start making mental lists or some shit. Hold on. Let me just pull up like a fucking... Don't want to... Well, look, I feel like Joker's a boring pick, but I feel like that's my honest number one. As boring as that is, I'm gonna tell you right now, Lex Luthor's not going to be on there. I don't have a lot of affinity for Lex. I feel like you do this and then you just add more editing for yourself. So that's fine, whatever.
It's so easy to cut silence.
I mean, maybe. No. Could I go? No. I'm making a short list in my head and then we'll narrow it down there. Nah, that's a boring pick. It's like, I'm like, there's a good version of this character and then there's a shit versions. You know what I mean? Like, nah. Alright, I'm just going to end up with fucking Batman villains is what I'm going to end up with. Yeah, okay, so I'll yeah, definitely number one Joker. Number two, we'll go with the Court of Owls. And number three, I'm probably gonna. Fuck you. I'm doing a tie. I'm gonna go a tie between Brainiac and Darkseid.
Okay. I'll go 1 Joker, 2 Sinestro, and 3 probably the Riddler at the moment. I feel like he's had more of the interesting stories that I've read recently. So interesting. With that out of the way, let's dive into this week's film. So please be aware we'll be freely discussing everything about plot themes and ending of the movie. So if you haven't watched it, come back later. With that said, let's jump into discussing Superman 2.
The world is on the brink of destruction.
Superman, can you hear me?
And Metropolis is in ruins.
Superman, help us!
Is there no one on this planet to even challenge me?
Superman!
General, would you care to step outside?
Interestingly, first released December 4th, 1980 in Australia, before releasing April 9th, 1981 in the United Kingdom, and June 19th, 1981 in the United States.
What caused that?
I have no idea. Hang on. There's actually a note. Let's have a look. Nope. The link, the thing is just leading to articles about it being of reviews, I guess. Directed by Richard Lester. Screenplay by Mario Puzo, David Newman, Leslie Newman. Story by Mario Puzo. Based on Superman by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. Starring Gene Hackman, Christopher Reeve, Ned Beatty, Jackie Cooper, Sarah Douglas, Margot Kidder, Jack O'Halloran, Valerie, Perrine, Susannah York, Clifton James, E.G. Marshall, Marc, McClure, and Terence Stamp. Superman foils the plot of terrorists by hurling their nuclear device into outer space, but the bomb shockwaves free the Kryptonian villain General Zod and his henchman Ursa and Nond from their imprisonment. traveling to Earth, they threaten the planet with destruction at the same time as that Superman decides to renounce his superpowers in order to live a normal life as Clark Kent with his new love, Lois Lane. Dylan, what are your thoughts on Superman Part 2? Or Superman 2?
I think Superman 2 is the best of the Superman movies, I think. Well, it would be my pick of the four. I think Superman 2, whichever version, this or the Donna cut, is still the best version. And I think that's mainly just because you get to see well, you get multiple things. Obviously, you get to see Christopher Reeve as Superman for the movie, but you also get a lot more Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder, like their relationship in this movie. This gives you all of that, which is some of the best stuff in the Superman films. The first one and second one is just Christopher Reeve being Superman, and then Margot Kidder and Christopher Reeve being together with their chemistry and stuff. So you get all of that in this. You also get some other really cool stuff. I mean, as much as I will get to my complaints about it soon enough, I think the Noel Ursa and Zod trio are really good together, like performances and just the general scariness, I guess, of them and whatnot. Yeah, I think my main problems with this movie is there's just I don't love the Superman giving up his powers thing. I don't love the ending where Superman just magically pulls powers out of a hat. I don't love keeping Superman and the Kryptonians apart because I couldn't figure out how to have them in the same scenes until they fight, because they're like, well, obviously they would just fight. And I don't like the memory wipe of Lois thing because it's just shit. I've never liked that. So, yeah, I mean, I'll dive into some of the other things I think the Richard Donner cut does better as we come to them, and whatnot, and as they remind me. But yeah, overall, I still think this is the best of the four.
Yeah, there's a lot to like here, but there's also a lot of frustrating stuff and a lot of just head scratching stuff, which makes it hard to love, I think. Especially as, obviously the Superman that we know now is quite different to the iteration shown here, but I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of abilities that are introduced in this that were never a part of the Superman lore and stuff like that. That's just wacky, crazy stuff. Yeah, like, I mean, all the stuff with Clark and, Christopher Reeve and Marco Kidder is like 10 out of 10. Please give me more. I understand, And listen, it turns out Superman was just a man at the end of the day. And he wanted what every man wants.
What's that, Ash?
Sexy times.
Oh, okay, right.
Without
a giant
breaking her hips.
Pillow.
Yep. Without causing eternal damage with his super strength. I don't know. But yeah, like, just some of the powers and stuff they kind of do. But for the time, like, a lot of the effects are pretty good and solid and that kind of stuff. And like it's a little bit silly, like at points where they're like blowing air for like several minutes at a time. But I'm sure that was fun to shoot. And like, it's kind of crazy, like seeing like fires on like cars on fire and that kind of stuff is like full on flaming all over the place. That, it looks more impressive than some of the cars they put on fire now, which probably, much safer, I would assume, in current productions. But yeah, I thought, for the most part, pretty good. Just, yeah, lots of head scratching and frustration, lore, comic book fan kind of stuff comes through. But yeah, let's run through the plot on the Wikipedia page. Before the destruction of Krypton, the following synopsis reflects the original theatrical version of the film. Just saying there. Before the destruction of Krypton, the criminals General Zod, Ursa, and Non are sentenced to banishment into the Phantom Zone.
Oh yeah, here's where I skipped 10 minutes of the movie.
Yes, there is a full recap.
Yeah. Having just watched Superman 1, I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to fast forward this whole opening credit scene where it just recaps the first film because I just watched it. I'm good.
Yes. Years later, the Phantom Zone is shattered near Earth by the shockwave of a hydrogen bomb
They
thrown
skipped
from
a lot,
Earth
boy.
by Superman. Superman's throws when they're about to set off a nuclear bomb at the Eiffel Tower.
Yes, there's a bunch of terrorists that are about to set up a bomb at the Eiffel Tower if they're like doing the whole thing. Now, this straight away, this is what I mentioned last week, where I get slightly annoyed from the get go, where you could have had these two movies where they're like plot elements lead into one into another and stuff like that, and they had a fucking bomb go up into the sky that was supposed to lead into this, but then they spend the first 20 minutes of this movie, I feel, just doing another bomb into the sky just so they can do what they could have already done with it anyway.
But I think the clear thing here, obviously, you're going to talk about the Donner Cut a lot. It should be pointed out, obviously, I said at the start of the episode, this is technically directed by Richard Lester. Richard John, the film's original director, was fired from the film in March 1979 after 75% of it had already been filmed.
Yeah.
Lester took over directing duties, and as he could not be accredited according to the Directors Guild of America unless he shot 40% of the film, he reshot most of it.
Mm-hmm.
So he just reintroduced the hydrogen thing just so it wasn't closely tied to the last movie.
Mm-hmm.
The three criminals are freed and find themselves with superpowers granted by the yellow light of the sun. After landing on the moon and effortlessly killing a team of astronauts exploring there, they continue towards Earth with plans to conquer the planet.
My favorite part is them just driving a little space truck around for some reason.
Why not?
Little June buggy.
Just
With some
throwing people
Krypton.
into space.
Yeah.
Never to return again. Brutal. The Daily Planet sends Clark Kent, whose secret identity is Superman, and his colleague Lois Lane to Niagara Falls to uncover a honeymoon scam ring. What a crazy
It's an
crazy
idea.
story.
Yep.
Yeah. Lois is very upset because no, she's not going to get a Nobel Prize for this. You know, lots of fun banter here, including Clark asking, what are we doing about the arrangements? Specifically the sleeping arrangements.
Yeah. Whoa, it's alive.
Yes. It's so amusing, and just the them enjoying the flames when the thing is pulled, which doesn't seem very safe, but whatever. Lois suspects Clark and Superman are the same person after Clark is absent when Superman saves a child. Terrible parents. Let's just say it there. 100%. If your child is stepped over the edge of a giant about to fall in a waterfall once, you need to hold that child down.
Yep.
Lois intentionally places herself in the falls, but Clark saves her without exposing himself.
Well, can't do that in public, so.
Yeah. What a great sequence. It's very amusing.
It is,
of him trying not to reveal himself. This entire sequence. Lois, that night, Clark trips and his hand lands in a lit fireplace. When Lois sees that his hand is unscathed, Clark reveals that he is indeed Superman. Got to that real quick.
Yep.
He takes her to his fortress of solitude in the Arctic, showing her the traces of his past, stored with energy crystals. Superman declares his love for Lois and his wish to spend his life with her. After conferring with the artificial intelligence of his mother Lara, Superman removes his superpowers by exposing himself to red Krypton sunlight in a crystal chamber, becoming immortal. Clark and Lois spend the night together, then leave the fortress and return from the Arctic. Obviously, it's skipping over a bunch of stuff. But yeah, the choice to become mortal. Crazy.
Just so he can have sex.
Possibly, but also, let's be honest, there was part of Lois whose kink was that he's a Superman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That never crosses your mind. You never think to question, hey, is my ability to save people as Superman more important than
Also,
this.
how weird do you think it is that in the last film he's talking to his dad in his Fortress of Solitude, and then suddenly he disappears and he's only talking to his mum? Is that weird?
No, because it's all pre-recorded. All the dad ones are pre-recorded. This one is AI.
Oh,
It's completely different. You know? So you let the dad do the talking first.
Mm.
You know. And yes, he's got this giant silvery bed,
Yep.
fortunately set up amongst all the icicles structure of the Fortress of Solitude. So yeah, I do like the final him just revealing and talking properly to Lois, and just the when she says, "I think I'm in love with you," like just the smile that comes across Christopher Reeve's face, very, very heartwarming. Meanwhile, Zod and his cohorts travel to the White House and force the President of the United States to surrender. I mean, again, a lot of stuff. They end up in this small town and just are fucking with everybody. Breaking chairs, breaking tables, sending people through walls. Apparently, they've got telekinesis.
I feel
which
like
is not a thing.
my one of my main problem with them in this movie, as much fun as I have with them just fucking around, is like it's just like, oh, you can rule, but then it's like I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, you don't really feel like there's ever much of a plan, or
No, there isn't a plan.
You don't really
They're like, hey,
understand what they want. Like,
they just want to be in charge, people.
Mm.
As it kind of explained earlier, there were like terrorists, or whatever, on their own planet or whatever. So, just against order, want to be in charge. But yeah, fucking with everybody, messing with the sheriffs, that kind of stuff. Asking it's classic alien stuff of asking where your leader is. And yeah, of course, Clark and Lois at no point there's no TV reception at the Fortress of Solitude.
Of course not.
And we also know that Clark does not like to watch TV. He just likes to read during his free time. Which, as Superman, is probably, you would imagine, not a good choice. You would think if you were Superman, you would want to be informed of things that are going bad at any point. You know what I mean? You'd have like Batman has like radios all over the place. Come on. What about that super hearing that you got, Superman? Can't hear.
They don't show him, and then do they actually do like in the first film they have a super hearing, but in this one they don't. I think anyone uses it. Even the other Kryptonians don't. It's weird.
I mean, it's hard to like.
But there's a
visualize.
scene. The scene that annoyed me the most about the super hearing, them not having it, is there's a scene where Lex like shit talks him right outside before he walks into an office, like whispers about them. They don't hear it, and I was like, oh, that's the perfect time. They should have punched him in the face. But
yeah. Clark and Lois arrive at a diner in Alaska where a trucker named Rocky sexually harasses Lois, beats up Clark to a bloody pulp. Rocky then leaves the diner while Lois tries to help Clark with his wounds. The owner of the diner turns on the TV and the president makes a speech, which was interrupted by Zod. Clark looks up at the TV and realizes that Zod, Ursa, and Non have taken over the planet. The president then asks Superman for help, and then Zod challenges Superman. Clark realizes he's made a terrible mistake. He tells Lois that he has to go back to the fortress to restore the powers so he can save the Earth and defeat Zod. Lois tells him that it's too late for him to do it, but Clark then returns to the fortress, finds the original green crystal that Lois left on the floor, sparing it when the control module and all the other crystals are destroyed after Superman becomes human. Oh yeah, so the console gets destroyed, right?
Yeah.
But there's the one green crystal, I guess, that restarts it all up. But his mum specifically very much said, this is permanent, you can't undo it. Apparently that was not the case, and it happens off screen.
Apparently.
Just crazy.
Apparently.
It's
one of those things like listening to you read it, I'm like, what are we talking about here?
I mean, I understand the allure of a Superman without powers and then like coming to regret him getting rid of his powers, I guess. But, it happens also suddenly and perfectly in time. It's like frustrating. Of course, prior to all this, Lex Luthor escaped from prison with Eve Tessmacher's help. They infiltrated the Fortress of Solitude, and Luthor learns of Superman's connection to Jor-El and General Zod. He finds Zod at the White House, and tells him Superman is the son of Jor-El, their jailer, and offers to lead them to Superman in exchange for control of Australia.
Yep.
Could have been
Why he
ruled
would
by
fuck
Gene
us like
Hackman.
that is beyond me, you know?
He's all about that beachfront property.
Ridiculous.
And there's no more beachfront property than there is in Australia. Just all beaches.
How you fucking doing, cocksucker?
The three Kryptonian ally with Luthor and go to the Daily Planet. Because Lois Lane is his personal secretary.
Yeah, that's the thing. When
apparently.
they're walking in, it's like, what, these animals learn how to use doors or whatever he says? But
Yeah.
they don't hear.
Superman arrives after restoring his powers and battles the three. Zod realizes Superman cares for the humans and takes advantage by threatening bystanders. Superman realizes the only way to stop Zod and the others is to lure them to the fortress. So he flies off with Zod, Ursa, and Non in pursuit, kidnapping Lois and taking along Luthor. I thought that fight was pretty good, considering it was obviously done in 1968.
Too much wreckage. They destroy too many buildings. Civilians cause way too much damage in Metropolis. Shit movie.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm
How
talking
many
about the wrong
people
film.
died in
Yeah,
the wreckage, you know what I mean? I think the more egregious thing is the blatant product placement.
The Coca-Cola sign?
Coca-Cola sign and him going through the truck with Marlboro,
Yeah.
you know?
That's right, kids. Because when you get home after watching Superman 2, you want a nice pack of Marlboro Reds waiting for you at home. That's right.
Yeah.
A nice glass of Coca-Cola and some Marlboro Reds.
Yeah. Use that heat vision.
Yeah. Use your laser eyes to light your latest cigarette.
Yeah. But yeah, I think there are some cool like stunts and that kind of stuff, and like the wind machine, and they're all getting blown all over the place. Old mate with it on the phone.
So, yeah, one thing I don't like here that's different in the Donner cut.
Okay.
He gets rid of all Donner's cut is just straight. This version has all the slapstick nonsense in it.
Lots of comedy bits. Yeah.
Yeah, dudes on roller skates, people for some reason not noticing there's all this stuff happening, walking out of shops going, oh, what's happening? Whoa! Like, what is going That lady runs out, like, you forgot your change. Like, what is going on here? Absolute nonsense. The dude in the phone booth, like, oh, sorry, honey, just so much random slapstick nonsense chucked in. Yeah, none of that's in the Donner cut.
Unsurprising, really. I also love that it's just very silly, like Luthor and Lois having to ride on the back of the other two Kryptonians all the way to the Fortress of Solitude.
I guess they didn't want them to, because if they made them like sit on that, it's less like they're being hugged. I guess they wanted it to look less friendly. I don't know. And I guess they didn't know how. In the comics, you would have them just like holding them with probably like
By the
holding
collar
them.
or something.
Yeah, but I guess they didn't know how to. They couldn't pull that off. So
Yeah.
So get this. I do like the part where they just drop Lex though. That's funny.
Yeah, just drop him and let him climb all the way down.
Mm.
Superman tries to get Luthor to lure the three into the crystal chamber to depower them.
They have the nonsense fight first.
Oh
where
yeah,
he
the nonsense fight where they like
turn into
he
clones
throws,
and
throws the S,
yeah,
and apparently they can point lasers at each other.
Yep.
And then Superman has a bunch of holograms all over the place.
Yeah.
Yes, those are all things that happened and were not necessary.
Yep.
Just why? Were those in the Donner cut?
No, they weren't. So in the Donner cut, he pretty much like it's more edited. Like his whole reason is he's luring them back there, and it just goes straight to him, like tricking him to go to the into the thing. They have no fight. There's no fight when they get there at all. All of that's added in.
Yes, so Superman tries to get Luthor to lure the three into the crystal chamber to power them. However, Luthor reveals the chamber's secret to the villains. Zod forces Superman into the chamber and activates it. Afterwards, assuming he's deprived of his powers, Superman tells Zod tells Superman to kneel.
Kneel before Zod. That's the
Kneel
best
before
line in the
Zod,
movie.
take his hand and swear eternal loyalty to him.
Hmm.
Instead, Superman crushes Zod's hand and tosses him into a crevice.
And you get a great squeal from Terence Stamp.
Yeah.
Good squeal. Ah! Good stuff.
Yep. Luthor deduces that Superman reconfigured the chamber to expose the trio to red sunlight,
He's so
while
smart.
Superman was protected from it. Non falls into another crevice while trying to fly over it.
What a non.
When he's lost all his powers, he's trying to jump.
Yeah.
And Lois knocks Ursa into a third.
Yeah.
Superman flies back to civilization, returning Lois home and leaving Lex stranded at the fortress. That doesn't seem like a good idea. I'm sure there's a bunch of other secrets he could find. You know,
Maybe.
I guess. Unless you don't leave any snacks or anything for it to live there.
Just
Although,
don't know.
did Superman kill Zod?
I mean, yeah, the implication is he does, yeah.
Yeah.
But less brutally, I think, is the problem people have with that one, right? Or something, I don't know, yeah. Just-
That's true. Yeah.
people like to, if you don't, you know, this leaves it more like, did he? I mean, he just fell with, yeah.
Mm-hmm. At the Daily Planet the following day, Clark kisses Lois, using his abilities to wipe her mind of the knowledge of the past few days. I mean, yeah, this is dumb. But you know, obviously they set up that she was like having anxiety about, you know, him being Superman and they're together. You know, her worrying about him, even though that makes no sense. He's Superman. There's been very little that like there's caused him issues or whatever. But yeah, they wipe him mind, gaslight, and forget everything.
So, in the Donner cut, there's one of the things it does worse, and only because he didn't have to get to finish the movie is the apparent story. So, in the Donner cut, the one thing I do like about the relationship that's changed for the better is from the outset of the movie, based on the way the first one ends. The movie starts, Lois already has, like, she thinks it's him, to the point that I think there's like her, she's drawing like glasses on a picture of Superman at the Daily Planet at the start of the movie, like trying to deduce. She also jumps out of the Daily Planet building. Superman saves her, and then she's trying to, like, she's from the get go of the movie, she's trying to
Gotcha him. Yeah.
Gotcha him. And then when they get back to the hotel, she pretends to shoot Clark with a gun, and then Clark admits, like, yeah, the bullets didn't hurt him because he's Superman. And then she's like, the guns was full of blanks, and he's like, you got me. Like, so all of that I think is good. However, the end of the Donner cut ends up him just again going really fast around the planet, reversing time. So
they reverse time instead of
they reverse time back before
before Zod
Phantom
even
Zone-
showed up.
Yeah, before the Phantom Zone breaks. So it's also before, because of that. So the implication is he does all this, but then also, like, so Zod doesn't get out and all this, like, none of this troubles happens on the planet, and, you know, all of that's good. But then the downside is his whole relationship with Lois goes back to, like, normal, and yeah, that sort of stuff. Apparently, though, and I don't know how much truth there is to this part, but apparently Donner originally wanted the ending of Superman 1 to not be that, and he wanted to save that. That was his, like, he wanted the first one to end a little bit more darker, and then the second one would have had the rewind thing. But then also when he did they did the cut in the mid 2000s, obviously he had to use what they had, so he just rewound the planet again, because that was the original ending, but it already happened in one. So this movie has a better ending only because it doesn't reuse things, but I don't like the stupid memory loss kiss.
Yeah. Because people can't get together. That's the thing in comic book movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's really shit, because then we go into the
no
third
happy
one.
endings for superheroes.
Yeah, we go into the third one, and we get Lana Lang next week. Lois is in the movie for all 5 minute spoilers, but it's just like you have this really good chemistry and whatever else, and then you know.
Later, he returns to the diner and gets even with Rocky.
Yep.
Very un-Superman behavior.
Very un-Superman behavior. Yes, very much.
Just fucking with this one
Superman's
guy.
all about revenge.
Yeah. He holds a grudge.
Yep.
Although, admittedly, he might have been the first person to make Clark bleed ever. Yeah.
True.
My own blood. Superman restores the damage done by Zod, replacing the American flag atop the White House. Tells the president he will not abandon his duty again.
Yeah. Truth, justice.
That's not
American
the
way.
American way.
Yeah, damn right. Eagle flies above.
Yeah, definitely nobody would not do their duty and say go play golf for several days as part of their job. All right, anything else you wanted to talk about?
How many tariffs would you put on Superman considering he comes from a different planet?
Oh, Dylan, what's the most super moment of the movie?
What's the most super... Is that the question? The most super...
Yeah, what's the most super moment?
What's the most super moment? Did you do this last week?
I feel like I did. I hope I did, because it's in the notes.
I feel like...
Which is this iteration of what's the best moment.
Yeah. I just don't feel like I picked some. This week I'm going to go with most marvelous moment. Most super moment. God damn, wrong podcast. God, stuck in my brain. I'm just gonna go with them. I'm just gonna go with the banter between Lois and Clark at the along the hotel in the water and Niagara Falls, and yeah, it's probably one of the more fun scenes in the movie, to be honest.
I was gonna pick that, but then I'll just go with the three Kryptonians fucking up that single town. You know, there's the old dude thinking he's gonna hit on Ursa, and then just him putting him through a table.
I think she's actually the best part of the three of them. And everyone talks about Terence Stamp and everything is odd, but it's also just a little detail about stealing all those people's badges and adding them to a suit throughout the movie.
I do love Non trying to use heat vision.
I'll say does Donicut. So in this version, they have Non played more like a dim-witted, strong buffoon sort of, and they play a lot of jokes for that. All of that's gone in Donicut. He's just the strong silent type.
Yeah. Lots of pre-cut tables in this film. Lots of tables being broken perfectly.
Also, Lex feels unnecessary in this film as well, the main thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
They needed to have him because I guess Gene Hackman had contract.
Yeah. Well, he also refused to come back for any of the reshoots, so they didn't get any more scenes with him. That's also why.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah. What else haven't I complained about between the two versions? It sounds like I'm complaining. I like, as I said, I think both versions are the best versions, but I definitely feel like as much as if you watch them both, this is the best version because it feels more actually complete because it was, it got the full time or whatever. I just think a lot of the changes in Donicut I do prefer, like Jor-El being in that version of the film. So when he goes back to, I think, I didn't mention this before. So when he goes to give up his powers, and obviously he speaks to his, what's his mom's name?
Lara.
Lara, yeah. When he speaks to Lara, and she's pretty much like, yeah, so to be overhuman, you got to give up your powers. Shrug. There's no real, that's, yep, cool, mom. See you later. Whereas the conversation he has with Jor-El is a bit more you cannot pick one human over another in your position. It's more like a little bit more of a metaphorical conversation around if he's a god on earth and but he's prioritizing one human over another, he can't do that in his position. And then Jor-El more or less says that if he gives up his powers, that's not the right choice, but it's his choice to make. And it makes it's a little bit more of a fulfilling conversation between the two of them that leads him still choosing to let go of his powers. Whereas I feel like in this version, it's just, well, to be with her, you got to give her powers because of reasons.
Yeah. because a Superman and a human could never be together, you know.
Mm.
Or no, you know, it's not even there's not enough time to process him even contemplating it. It's just automatically a thing. It's not even like, oh, I'm going to be a immortal man. You'll eventually grow and die, and that's why I should give up my powers right now, you know, kind of thing. One thing that we overlooked last week when we were talking about the movie.
The music?
The theme.
Mm.
Iconic.
Great. Indeed. The music's fantastic. And the only downside of me skipping that first 10 minutes was getting a chance to listen to it. But time is short these days, you know what I mean? I've got to get to it. So, but yes, obviously the theme and all in whole, the music is fantastic. And once you watch one of these films, you'll have the theme stuck in your head for a while. So,
yep. So, glad to give that a shout out. All right, let us know what your thoughts are on.
One thing I want to know, I can't remember if this is 100%. I think I'm right when I'm saying this, but I'm pretty sure, and I'll look this up before we watch it. I'm pretty sure the Jor-El footage that was cut from this that they brought back for the Donner cut, they used some of that in the Superman Returns film when they have Marlon Brando show up in Superman Returns speaking to Brandon Routh as like the continuing narrative of how Superman 2 affects the future of this franchise. Because it also affects the next two films, because after they fired Donner and he had plans for 4 or 6 or some ridiculous thing, then we end up with what we end up in the coming weeks instead of what his original plan was. Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen the next 2, so I'm very excited to check this out.
Wait, when we watch next
another.
week, we're going to watch it. And then when I tell you what the supposed original plan was, you'll be like, that makes sense. I can see where that idea was there, and then somehow we ended up with this shit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who Richard Pryor is?
I am familiar with Richard Pryor, the comedian.
Yeah. Okay. Very good.
Let us know what your thoughts are on Superman 2 by finding us on Blue Sky at explosionnetwork.com, or find us on other social media at ExplosionPod. If you want to help us out here at What Do You Want to Watch? If you want to help us out here at All New DC Cast, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser. Leave us 5 stars if you can leave 5 stars, or just tell people about the show. And if you've enjoyed this episode, thought it was worth $1, head on over to our Ko-fi page at explosionnetwork.com/support. So yes, next week we will be watching Superman 3. So join us next time for another All New DC Cast.